Zoe, all that kale leaves me hankering for some sweet stuff. And that's what I'm going to make for you. I'm going to make a blueberry and Kirsch cake. Fairly simple to make, but I'm going to make 4 little ones. But we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Now, I've got 3 punnets of blueberries. I want you to empty it into the bowl. I've got some Kirsch, which is some plum brandy.
Okay.
Pour that on top. And a good 2 heaped teaspoons of the brown sugar into there. And what we'll do is we'll steep them.
That seems like a very small amount of sugar for you, Adrian.
I'm being careful. I'm going to use a lot in the actual cake. Now, I've got 250 grams of unsalted butter, and this is at room temperature. It's very important that you get it to room temperature, and I mean, take it out of the fridge, maybe the night before, leave it on the bench there, and then open it up. And that way it's nice and soft. Because what we're going to do, Zoe, is we're going to cream the butter with this sugar, with the raw caster sugar, which is something a bit different.
Okay.
Look at that. It's the same sort of consistency as caster sugar. But it's got that raw sort of flavour to it.
Okay, so it is obviously probably a little bit better for you overall than normal processed caster sugar. Anything that's less processed has to be better for you.
Who knows, but I just put 250 grams in there. Here we go. Now I'm going to put the lid on here and we're going to cream the butter and sugar together. There we go. Slot that in. On we go. This will take a couple of minutes, and what I want, Zoe, is to be nice and creamy, all mixed in together. I just love watching this happen. Look at that, Zoe. One of the things I love about this machine is you can actually watch it all swirling around on the inside. Yeah. It's great, isn't it?
It's good fun watching the process happen.
Now, I'll get you to move that aside. Now, I could just drop the eggs in one by one, but this is a little thing that I do. I'm going to put a little bit of flour into the bowl here. The total amount of flour is 400 grams of self-raising flour. And I'm using cake flour because it's nice and light. It'll make it nice and fluffy because there's only a little bit of protein in it. Now, what I'll do is, with this mixture here, I'm going to put it into my bowl. Look at that. Nice.
Oh, they're almost the same colour.
It is,
so
it is.
light and fluffy and buttery.
All the air's got in there and the butter and the sugar have creamed themselves together. What I'd like to do now is to stop for a second and just put my finger in here and make sure... I'll lick it up like that. That's beautiful. Now, the reason I put the flour in here is what we're going to do now, Zoe, is we're going to add an egg one at a time.
Okay.
And if I put a little bit of flour in here, it stops it from spinning. There we go, pop that in there. I'll mix it in. By the time you've cracked another egg, I reckon we'll be ready to go again.
Go for it.
That's it. And then what we're going to do is add the remaining of the 400 grams of the self-raising flour. Okay. And we're going to put a bit of baking powder. We're going to sift that into the flour as well. And that'll help to give us an extra bit of lift so the cake is nice and fluffy. Off you go. Sift it in.
I'll start with the baking soda and then off we go.
That's it. And just sift that in. The reason why we sift it is because we want this cake to be nice and light and fluffy. And we take out any of the lumps that are often in flour. There we go. Now, often when you make a cake batter, they're quite thin and runny. This one is actually quite firm. And as... Oh, there we go. I'm going to have flour everywhere. As I stir it around, you can see it's going to be quite a firm dough. But it's going to rise up beautifully. Another couple of stirs around here.
Burst of blueberries.
We're going to have a lot of blueberries in. And the burst of the Kirsch that goes in there as well. Look at that. It takes a second or so, and that's all together. Now, when you make a cake batter, one of the things you must do every single time is have a little taste.
What do you think?
Delicious.
To your standard?
It is. I loved it. I've been doing that since I was a little tiny boy. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the cake batter into here, to divide it into 4 and put it into here. It is a bit sticky, so it is a bit of a fiddly job. But you can see, Zoe, I've lined the little cake tin. It's a little spring-form tin with baking paper on the bottom and around the sides as well. I've sprayed it so nothing sticks.
I like it. Less washing up as well. Very practical.
You know, and I thought some cute little cakes would be perfect. So what we'll do is I'll just take this out and I'm going to put a big dollop in the centre here. And what I'm going to get you to do, Zoe, is with this spoon with a bit of water, just smooth it down a little bit. And hopefully I'll get my my quantities right. There we go. All the way in the middle there. Look at that.
I've made a similar cake using an almond meal for something like this, which works really beautifully.
It worked beautifully, yeah, I love that. In it goes like that. I love it.
Good gluten-free alternative, that one.
I'm sure it is, but I reckon I'll be looking forward to the blueberries and the Kirsch working together, because this is a plain cake, and the beauty of this cake is you can flavour it just about any way you want. And you'll see that I've left a little bit of the cake batter on the spatula and the bowl and my finger.
That's good for later, is it?
Now, bring over those blueberries, Zoe.
Now, Adrian, I've got a good friend of mine who lives in Jerusalem who makes his own Kirsch with fruit flavours. It's really unique. Not a big drinker myself, but it does taste pretty special.
Fantastic. That sounds like a great recipe. I'd like to try that one day. Look at that blueberry rolling up. There we go, right on the edge there. Now, what I do is I grab the blueberries out of the Kirsch and I spread them out on top of the cake here. And what I'm going to do is we'll push it in a little bit.
Really lovely as well. It's almost like the top layer is just a smother of blueberries. How exciting.
And we're going to push it in. As the cake cooks, the blueberries will sort of, you know, bleed a little bit into the cake. There we go, spread all that around. And when the cake comes out, the remaining Kirsch that's in the bowl here, we're going to spoon that on top of the hot cake. So it goes all the way through and you have that lovely Kirsch flavour. And I just love the flavour.
So this is definitely an adult version cake.
It is, it is. Now, of course, if you don't have Kirsch, you can use orange juice if you want, or apple juice, or, you know, sugar syrup, whatever you want to use. You know, brandy, whatever sort of brandy you want, it doesn't really matter. Use whatever you've got in the pantry or your little bar section. There we go. Last couple of blueberries there. And then what I'll do, I'll put that in there. What I'll do is I'll just push them down a little bit, Zoe.
So use the spoon again? Or?
No, use your fingers, Zoe. Get your fingers in there. Push that down and have a look over here, Zoe. I've got a little blueberry that thought he could escape. Ah, there we go. Push that in there. Now, this is going to go into the oven, Zoe. It'll take about half an hour at 180 degrees Celsius. Okay. Fan on. This will be in, and I reckon it'll give us a perfect amount of time to cook your salmon. This will come out. We'll have your salmon, and then we'll have this for dessert. Zoe, the cakes have cooled down a little bit, and as they were cooling down, I was putting a little bit of Kirsch on them. I've saved a little bit. Blueberry Kirsch, nothing better than that. Oh, lovely. Now, I'm just going to open it up. Springform tin, you take the lid off like that. That's why we use springform.
Love it.
And
Simple.
then the
really
baking paper, you just take it off like that. There we go. And then I've got it on the bottom here. Just carefully lift that off. I'm just going to pop this straight onto the plate there. It's nice to make a little cake every now and again. And if you're going to visit a couple of people, always take a cake and they'll let you in. Now, if you can grab some of the icing sugar, put some in there. I want you to dust it on top, all over it. Oh, look at that.
Very pretty.
Fantastic. And then, of course, if you want to put a little bit more Kirsch around the plate like that, just to... Look at that. A little bit of moisture there. Now, I think we should tuck straight into it.
Now, I'm going to definitely go for these blueberries because they look beautiful. Sorry.
I was going to cut it in half for you. See, this is the thing. Zoe says, you know, he's always talking about healthy stuff, but when there's a nice piece of cake there, straight into it.
It's about balance.
I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. What do you think of that? Nice bit of moisture to it.
I love the blueberries. They explode in your mouth. It's really, really nice. You know, Adrian, you know, it's all about portion control when it comes to these types of things. Little cup, perfect. The blueberries, magical.
Zoe, you really surprised me with your two dishes. The kale salad was outstanding, and the salmon, the blueberry sauce on that, I thought was fantastic.
You know, this is a definite blueberry little sweet treat. I do like it, but it does showcase how versatile blueberries can be, sweet or savoury. I think they're a winner.